right. Chat. Looks like that's all lined up. Okay. Let's check my. I'm going to check my signal here. We're going to get started in probably about a minute. At least that's how long it typically takes for me to get all my social stuff resolved. So if you are already familiar with the channel, you can skip on forward a minute. And let's I'm going to press some buttons here for a few moments, and once I'm done doing that, and okay, it sounds like the signal's coming through a-okay there. And so I'm going to grab the link here real fast and click over. See if that's all working out right. Okay, it looks like fine there. Grabbing link. Okay, just to not completely bore you during this process, my name is Phil Kearney. What's up? I create role-playing games, I illustrate them, I publish them online, and I am creating content for Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition that I am publishing on the DMsGuild. I've been creating content on the guild since 2018. I've been a freelance illustrator since 1999. I've been a DM since 1987, and the really old school back me first edition style of game really encouraged characters to grow in personal strength, power, and levels to that then once they get like to name level, like typically around 9th level, they gain a fortress and followers to operate that fortress, and you expand your territory, creating this dominion style of play where you're making like you're staking a claim in the world, and then you're developing the environment around that. It leads to hex crawls, discovering dungeon delves that you can slide into. It allows kingdom making. Dealing with social economic politics between you and neighboring nations, as well as warfare between you, neighbors, as well as invading forces from abroad. There's a really real open-ended adventure called Test of the Warlords. It's level 17, I think, to 25, something fairly high level in the BECME system, that you are actively developing land and dealing with like clans of giants and flights of dragons, and there's like a volcano at one point that's spitting out fire elemental creatures by the hundreds that you need of pretty formidable armies to be able to take on and keep them from basically marching with the lava to destroy the land around them. So hey Foxtrot, it's good to see you, man. So that's yeah, so we're developing this project. It's the Bastion campaign system for us specifically to lean into that style of game where your characters establish control of a territory, and then as challenges arise, create your campaign and the adventures in your campaign around the events that are occurring to and through your dominion, which in 5e2.5 language is your Bastion system. So we're making a Bastion system, an exploration, skill, challenge mechanic, so that it can mesh more with how characters' ability checks already work, and so that it goes beyond just the players telling the DM what happens. You tell them what your goals are with your Bastion, what you want to achieve as an organization, and then the DM weighs those against the tasks that you can actually, the orders that you issue to your Bastion to perform these actions. And then given the success or the failure of your Bastion to perform, that creates seeds of adventure for your characters to then basically build a spontaneously prepared, progressively generated campaign that's responding in real time to how your team, how your players are running their Bastion, their dominion, their environments, and the hirelings and characters that they control inside of it. How are they interacting with the world, and how is the world responding to it, which is a really satisfying style of game. If you haven't had an opportunity to experience it, it is completely worth your time. We will be I'm going to try to throw together a playtest campaign built around that out of my Discord. It'll be a little while before I do that, but I would happily do so. I've been running one out of my home table on a weekly basis, basically since February. So it's really fun. But getting another one up and running, it's well, it's playtesting, so I can make the time for it. So we'll make time for it. What's up? Where was the material at when I had Keen home in my party of Volardorl? Your timing, man, if only, if I haven't figured out time travel yet, but when I do, I'll have a whole cadre of books there for you. And just to wrap up the conversation or the intro there, and for us to actually get started, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon for notifications when we're live in the future. I am here 10 times per week, Monday through Friday in the mornings, afternoons, and evenings at various times. Here's the playtest document that we're going to use today for developing the Bastion campaign document. And further down below here's a slew of books that I've already created on the DMsGuild. They are all free preview. I want you to read these ideas, and then if you decide that they enrich your campaign or expand your thoughts as a DM, then maybe they're worth purchasing to encourage similar behavior in the future from me. So Bastion Campaigns, this is something, now Bastions already exist. It's inside the 5e, is in the 2024 DMG. And we're looking at, say, here's a Sanctum facility, right? So there's various, in the DMG, there's 29 different facilities. And you can see here that they have my phone's just making a lot of noise today. There's a, they have very limited uses. These, you install, you basically create these facilities or like different rooms with different purposes. Right, in this case, we're looking at a sanctum. So you can't get one until 17th level using the system from the DMG. And when you do get it, it requires you to have, it includes or comes with 4 hirelings. You have to know how to use a holy symbol or a druidic focus as a spell. Excuse me while I mute my phone. Your character has to have a holy symbol or druidic focus as a spellcasting focus. So that could either be paladin, ranger, druid, or cleric. And so here's what it does for you when you put this thing in. After you spend a long rest, you gain a magical charm that lasts 7 days. A charm is basically a spell effect that you place on your character that they can activate as an action or as a magic action without having to know how to cast. In this case, the charm allows you to cast heal once without expending a spell slot. You can't gain this charm again until you can't gain this charm again while you still have it. So it takes you after spending a long rest in your bastion, you gain. So after one night long rest back home, you get this heal spell that you can basically cast at any time that you want. In addition, you could issue and this is just for showing up and sleeping. The order that's associated with this facility is Empower. So when you use the Empower, and at 17th level, you have 6 orders that you can issue your Bastion at any given time. And so if you issue the Empower order, here it reads that you inspire the hirelings to perform daily rites that benefit you and another character's name. What you get from it is temporary hit points equal to your level. There you go. And they stick around for 7 days. And then finally, the other benefit that you get from the Sanctum specifically is you always have the Word of Recall spell prepared. When you cast Word of Recall, you can make a Sanctum. You can make this Sanctum, this location, the destination of the spell, instead of another place that you had previously designated. For in addition, one creature of your choice that arrives in the Sanctum via this spell gains the benefit of a heal spell. So that's pretty cool. It's very specific, but it's cool. So we want to be able to do these sort of things with the Bastion campaign, but we want to also expand on what your Bastions can do in general. So we've spent a lot of time here developing what Bastions can do and taking these very simple ideas and then expanding upon them. So if we're looking, I'm going to peel this document out here. And so I'll be around here for a few hours, see how much work we can get done today. But if we, like, for instance, I think is the Sanctum where we left off, or did we just finish the Sanctum when we walked away? Let's double check here real quick. Sacristy, sanctuary, sanctum. Yeah. So here's the different things that we know that. Oh yeah, and then we continue with the scriptorium from here. So the way that we took these, very specific things that you could do. You can gain a heal spell. You can gain temporary hit points. You can cast a Word of Recall and use this location as the destination. So taking that thing into account, you can create magical items, which includes holy water, potions, rods, scrolls, divine scrolls, staff, wand, and wanderer's items. Let's go with, yeah. And then empower, another action that we can do with the sanctum is, you issue an order. You issue the empower order to create a druidic magic item. Empower, a character that spends a Bastion turn of downtime activity using this facility gains a number of temporary hit points equal to your character level. So we retain that. A character that spends a Bastion turn of downtime activity using this facility gains a charm to cast Word of Recall with the sanctum as a destination. Shout out to my old friend. Who was it? It was Amanda. Amanda was like, "Spank you very much" all the time. So, Spankdom. That is your safe house, my girl. And then the other issue that the other option that we issue through Empower is for a character that can spend a Bastion turn of downtime activity using the facilities gains the benefit of a divine charm. And so a divine charm is the maximum charm. Again, a charm is a spell that is put upon a character that can then cast that spell without having to actually know how to cast, but it's still a magic action to do so. Or like if it's a bonus action, it's a bonus action, or if it's a reaction, it's a reaction. So, casting time as usual, but it's not actually casting spells. So like you could slap one of these onto a barbarian, for instance, and the barbarian would be able to use a charm, but you can only have one charm on you at a time. And whoever it is that uses the charm is the one that would be concentrating on it. So like the barbarian wouldn't be able to concentrate on a charm effect that was triggered on that it triggered because you can't maintain concentration while raging. So the maximum charm level can be empowered. That can be empowered is determined by the number of Bastion points expended to improve the empower order of this facility. So, you know what? Instead of doing it that way, because I don't want to have to force you to spend points on the sanctum if you don't want to. Let's instead do it as one charm can be active per character at a time from the list below up to the character's level. There you go. The maximum charm level that can be empowered is determined. Let's go with Bastion rank. This is the way to do it. This is the way. Text, what's up? This is a new take. Charming barbarians. Indeed. Bastion points. The maximum charm level that can be empowered is determined by the number of Bastion points expended to improve the empower order of this facility. Maybe I am okay with that. Bastion points. There's a few different ways that we can award things. It could be by character level. It could be by rank of the Bastion. It can be by the number of points that have been spent to improve a particular order, like empower, for instance. Or it can be how many Bastion points have specifically been spent to improve empower in this facility. So there's a couple different ways for us to chew on that. And currently I think I'm liking the idea of the maximum charm level that can be empowered is determined by the number of Bastion points expended to improve the empower order. One charm can be active per character at a time with from the list below up to the character's level. This prevents us from putting something like Wish on an 8th level character by having a very powerful Bastion with low level characters. The characters are only able to take on magic that corresponds to their character's level. The magic, if it's too high, it doesn't. The character, it can't stick on the character. That's just a general rule that we're trying to follow, because the way that the Bastion system works in the Dungeon Master's Guide is dictated by the character's level. So a Bastion will never be able to provide something that outranks the power of the character. So that's one way to do it, but it doesn't. It makes the Bastion an extension of the character, and the theme that we're going with the Bastion Campaigns supplement here is that the Bastion can be the core of the campaign. And like I've talked about before, like XCOM style, like if you've played the XCOM games, you have a fortress, and then there's different missions that occur at different locations. So every Bastion turn, you choose one of these locations to send your XCOM team to fight aliens. And if you're successful, you gain these rewards. If you fail, things escalate and become worse, but it's still an adventure seed for you to pursue. It changes because you failed the goal, so they advance their goals while your team is set back by not succeeding, but it just gives you a different goal to achieve down that same plot line. So all these different locations become basically different adventure paths that your character can choose to follow, and depending on how many steps down the path you take is basically going to play out the scope of the adventure. But the way that we're structuring the Bastion campaign is that basically a Bastion turn is 1 week. And whenever you're having an adventure that's generated by the successes and failures of your Bastion, that adventure is an episodic adventure that can be resolved within the 7 days of the Bastion turn. So the campaign really revolves around what is my Bastion doing this turn? Did it succeed or did it fail? If it failed, we now have complications that we send characters off to resolve the complication and thus create rivals, allies, and new environments or new dynamics in the campaign world that the Bastion is a part of. Or the Bastion succeeds, and now it opens up new opportunities that the characters can pursue through the success of the Bastion. And so if the Bastion is the actual characters, or is the actual, like, say, guild that the characters command, then you can have any number of characters, adventuring teams that are recruited, hired, or founded the Bastion to then go out and perform these different paths of adventure that lead out from the Bastion. Coming back to report and then heading out back again, you could potentially have a West March campaign where there's multiple teams of players and DMs that are all taking different adventure paths or down out of the Bastion, or there's like a roster, like with like a sign-up board, and you sign up when you're available and what complication, like what challenge do you want to pursue with your characters. And if you don't have a character, roll one up to just take on that challenge. So you're adding characters and potentially rosters of players, and then the DMs can collect on a weekly basis to update each other on here's how that adventure went, and here's how. So then the top DM would then report the successes and failures of the Bastion to create the new adventure seeds to then hand out to the DMs that then are posted on a board, and then people sign up for those different things. And, there you go. So that's the idea. And like if a DM isn't busy, then they could, if no one signs up for an adventure, then the Bastion has to resolve that adventure. And so that becomes another ability check that the DM that didn't run that adventure can now roll those dice, and then through your own DM Oracle system, determine what the results of that is going to be, which we're going to provide guidance inside of this book. And then that DM, since they didn't have an adventure that they were being asked to run, then they can just join one of the other adventures as a character. So everyone gets to share, and since that's not their adventure, that's not their their adventure path that they're sitting in on, they're not screwing anything up. So the other DMs are just reporting what are the updates in the Bastion, and it's the top DM that's then saying, okay, this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and this is happening, and no one really knows what's going to happen next turn because we don't know yet the successes and failures of the Bastions and the characters' efforts inside of the Bastion to progress the goals of the collective. So that's the idea that goes on behind the Bastion campaign system. So we're trying to develop each of these facilities to have these opportunities to create successes and failures for the characters. So one would use level you would use level restrictions in your game, and that's the best setup for a Westmarch style game I have heard yet. Well, thank you. Yeah, pretty cool stuff. So, I mean, I've just been running one team, but my players have 4 different teams that operate out of their Bastion, and the way that their Bastion is structured is, which I've talked about before, is the Eberron Spelljammer campaign that I run, where they own a like they're basically a sub guild of Zalargo and Warhold, and then the Warforged that have no home but were freed. They're now independently thinking souls and machines, and they have no real home, but they also don't have to breathe. So it seemed real obvious that they're just going to migrate into orbit and work with the gnomes and the dwarves to be able to build a kick-ass mining corporation that's in orbit and interact with the other species, nations, and monsters that are already floating around out there, and just carve a space for themselves and chop down some rocks and do some cool shit. They're about to start war with Droam because they keep stepping on each other's toes when Droam keeps trying to poach their rocks when they're trying to mine these things. And in the process of doing that, Droam accidentally exposed their gargoyle army to the Warforged, which are also inanimate living things, kind of like gargoyles are like living rock. So they don't have to breathe or eat either. They can just drift in space just like Warforged can. But Droam just leaves hundreds of them just hanging in orbit. So if you happen to come across them, they're living like sea mines that then get onto your ship and start attacking you. And basically the only way they ever get shore leave and get to go back to society and interact with people is if they destroy a ship. Some of them have been out there literally for decades, just left alone, waiting for something to come by to attack. And they got rostered into interacting or basically creating a front against the players when they were starting to push into Droam territory. And so the Warforged encountered the gargoyles, and then they also heard. So they're seeing like, wow, you're inanimate machines, but they treat you like people. You have rights here. We're not used to that. We're property. And so they're starting to get ideas, and then word got around that the Elven Armada tried to squeeze territory out of the players, and they actually were able to successfully, using military, push their warbirds away. So they were able to not only stand up against a really strong army, the elves, but they also are showing really deep human rights for anyone that's associated with them. So about I want to say three episodes ago, like 3 adventures ago, a large contingent of gargoyles defected from Droam and asked to join the guild that the characters control. And so now they have gargoyles integrating in with their people. So, but it was a lot of fun. So they had to deal with the Droam embassy, and they found out that there was actually a sympathizer that's in the embassy of Droam that tipped off the gargoyles that the guild is actually a pretty good place for them to move. He's a sympathizer, so he wanted to help the gargoyles. And now, so they've got this half ogre on the inside of the Droam embassy, so they're trying to figure out how they can milk him for information through espionage. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. But Droam's getting super pissed at them pushing their border and stealing their gargoyles, so they're starting to retaliate against the players, and so now they're having to be hyper vigilant with like fighter craft patrol and stuff around their territories because they're getting poached more. They're finding asteroids that are drifting into their territory to mine or are trapped. So they're being sabotaged and ambushed now, and obviously it's going to be Droam. Either that, or there's somebody they don't know about is using the Droam conflict to frame Droam as a rival, which is, Droam's really fucking dangerous. So we'll see how they evolve into that. But that's what we're doing with our campaign. So I could geek out about that forever, but I got work to do. So let's get back to it. So just catch up on notes, though, real quick. The silly witches. It's great. I mean, that's the kind of fun that you can have. Eberron is such a fucking great campaign world, and Spelljammer is such a cool environment with such interesting rules that go on behind it. The two of them are really just delicious. They're really delicious. And just to punctuate all of this and tie it off with a bow, the moons aren't locations. The moons are portals that open and close with the waning and waxing of the moons. When it's at a full moon, the portal is completely open that you can just fly a ship through into whatever, like Sephiroth, for example, is the moon connected to the plane of Mabar. So when Sephiroth is full, it opens up as a gate that you can just fly a ship through to go to another plane of existence. So the gatekeeper druids have all these huge asteroids that orbit these moon portals. They have gravity, but there's just no physical space, but they have gravity. So they have this orbit of rocks that are basically that basically halo the moons when you're looking at them from Eberron. And so they have all these druidic sects have these fortresses set up there to try to put, like, if some sort of fighting force were ever to assemble to come through a full moon, they would have to get through the gatekeepers, hence the title gatekeepers. They keep you from coming through the gate. So, but this is also the same kind of conflicts that I talk about in the Spelljammer book, where, like, when there's a color pool large enough for ships to fly through in the astral plane that lead to an outer plane, depending on whether or not it's a one or two way door, there's going to be an army on either side of those doors, waiting for someone to come out to attack, or waiting for someone to come in, this army to attack. Or sometimes they catch each other on either side of the door, but there's always some sort of a blockade or a cold war or standing defense against things coming and going through these color pools that, if left to whatever plane they're connected to, if there was left under their control, like if there was a color pool large enough for a 500-foot war barge from the abyss to come through, it could literally carry thousands and thousands of demons to wherever they want to go through the astral. So Celestials, of course, have a blockade set up in front of that. So if they do try to come out with a war barge, they're going to be hit by a billion angels that are just going to basically onslaught it until it's just destroyed. So, and maybe you can get one or two demons out, they can slip through, but you can't get any sizable force coming through without hitting the blockade. So there's fun politics, like there's these fun zones of control that stand off like that in the astral, and that I picked up that idea and I brought it into Eberron as well. So for the like, how do you make Spelljammer and Eberron visit the outer planes when Eberron doesn't use the outer planes in the astral plane like everyone else does? This is a really fun solution to that, to have your sphere, the Eberron system in a contained space, and then the portals to those spaces actually exist inside of the spheres as orbit around the planet. So the idea of, like, co-terminating, like when in the Eberron adventure that I'm writing, where the planet co-terminates with the plane of Mabar, and that creates this portal, the visuals of the ritual in the Nexus chamber, where they're performing this ritual to create an artificial, a magically created manifest zone. The visuals of it is as though the moon was actually being pulled to that location, and when it gets so close as to pass through the location, it's like now you're on the other side and you're in Mabar. So now, and that creates this permanent portal in the nexus of this dungeon, that you can move either side of Mabar or Eberron as a conduit. So, like, that's the idea. So anyway, that's my Eberron. So facilities, we're talking about bastions and stuff. It's a lot of fun. Hey, Steve, it's good to talk to you, man. Glad you're here. So let's look again. We're looking at the reliquary. So the improve or no, we don't have that. Improve orders and unique features. So, like for example, we have like the reliquary. We can craft. We make an ability check to craft an item. You can issue the craft order to create non-magical items, which are on. We have the massive list of all things you can purchase from the DMG and PHB down below, and so that. The things that you can build out of reliquary are listed out separately, and then you have the empower action. You can issue the empower order to create a divine or druidic magical item, which can be armor, charm, ring, rod, or weapon. We have charm listed separately, so I can get rid of that from the list here. Armor, ring, rod, and weapon. And then there's the empower action, a character that spends a Bastion turn of downtime activity using this facility, gains the benefit of an arcane, druidic, or arcane, divine, or druidic charm. The maximum charm level that can be empowered is determined by the number of Bastion points expended to improve the empower order of the facility. One charm can be active per character at a time from the list below. One charm can be active on the character at a time up to the character's level. Sorry, I lost some words there. Sanctuary, Sanctum. Let me just double check that real quick. One charm can be active on a character at a time up to the character's level as listed below. Up to the characters listed as listed below. Period. There we go. Since we've explored a number of different ways of expressing these things and how you allocate the benefits, once we actually complete this list, I'm going to have to go back through and find out a way to standardize and be consistent, so that once you read this empower things about charming once, you get how it works. You just need to figure out what can, the Sanctum, for example, potions, rods, scrolls, divine, or druidic. There. You can issue the empower action. A character that spends a Bastion turn of downtime activity using the facility gains a number of hit points. If it's affecting the character directly, I don't necessarily need to spend an order from, because this requires not 17th level but only 9th level, because Word of Recall is a 9th level is a 5th level spell. So realistically, if this is one of the core features that you get for the place, then having it come in at 3rd rank makes a lot of sense. But at the same time, even though you get it at 3rd rank, you might only have 1 Bastion point spent on a Sanctum. So if I've only spent 1 point, then the hirelings in the facility aren't powerful enough as adepts to be able to do anything more than a cantrip or a 1st level spell. So that means that it would be appropriate for 1st to 4th level characters, even though it has the firepower of a 9th level character, which would put us into the 3rd rank of power with 5th level spells. Your characters aren't strong enough to do that, except specifically here it says this is trumping the general rules of empowering with a charm. So you're gaining a special charm, specifically breaking the rules of your character's levels, because if you put this Sanctum in, you can now have your characters basically teleport back home anytime that they need to. So giving, if you're running the West March style, where you have various characters that could all be at different rank, at different levels as adventuring teams, but every single one of them, as long as they're hanging out in the facilities, the character that spends a Bastion turn of downtime activity using this facility gains a charm. So when your character, once you get a number of different facilities, each character in your party can spend their downtime week basically since you operate in and out of your bastion, as long as you're always going back to your bastion, ending your adventure and starting your adventure there, your character gets counted as spending downtime activity in this facility. So like the warrior could hang out in the sanctum and pick up a word of recall spell that you'd then be able to use as your fighter on your whole team. Meanwhile, maybe your cleric is hanging out in the sanctum and is picking up, I don't know, water breathing or something. You know, it's so easy for characters to get access to spells just off of their own spell list. These bastions are actually a really good way of being able to equip your team with Lehman's Tiny Hut, for example. If you don't have a wizard in your party, this is a good way for you to get a charm that puts a Lehman's Hut onto your character, so that even though we don't have a wizard with us, we don't have means of casting that ritual, we can still get access to it because we've invested our bastion to have these facilities. And like Lehman's Tiny Hut, basically as a long rest ritual, that's something that you could easily put into a facility also, just like we could put word of recall. So like you could have one character that has the hut, so you can sleep at nights, in danger. And then you have another character with the sanctum, so you can hit the recall button to zap back home, Ultimate Online style, whenever you need to. And then like if you have 2 or 3 other people in your party, we have other facilities in here where you can acquire different types of charms. So those are fun ideas. Anyway, that's obviously the ideas that they were going with here, but we wanted, like, the sanctum it does something very specifically. So we wanted to broaden the mechanics of, like, break down how this works so that we could broaden it to expand just being able to pick things, right? So you can only get one charm at a time, and presumably you're going to use that charm on your next adventure. So if you're performing research to find out about the locations that you're going to or the challenges that you might face, you can then equip your team with specific spells out of these charming facilities to equip your characters as you need with what you want to be able to take on the task specifically that you're looking at. So anyway, like my team right now is hunting, is doing an investigation on an asteroid that had been attacked, and they think that the area they found out that it's trapped. So they're all sporting what's the word? Pass without trace, so that they can move silently and not disrupt people. So they've all got these stealth charms active on their characters that they can use one at a time to cover the party, and one of them goes down, then someone else can use theirs. So, but they wanted to make sure that they were being covered, so that they could successfully sneak around this place, because getting out would be a problem. So they got to get to their ship, and then they got to get their ship out of range of attacks, and their ship could get destroyed before they even get to it if their cover is blown. So they're trying to be smart and careful about it, so they equip their characters accordingly. So as an example of play. So, but currently we're looking at, so that's a character thing, and a character thing. None of these things are actually like issuing as an empower action to imbue your character. Here you can issue a command, issue the empower order to, there you go. And then a character that spends a bastion turn of downtime activity using this facility gains the benefit of a druidic charm. So the druidic charm here, there you go, a druid spell. Take your pick, up to bump. The sanctum is apparently more broad and general than that. So do I actually want to take away the broad charm, the general divine charm, and leave it just with the word of recall as your sanctum? Because that's a very unique feature. But still, you can create magic items here, so it's valuable for your characters to be able to create resources, but also has a charm effect, is like triple dipping this facility to also grant just broad divine or druidic charms. Is that going too far? My gut says yes, but before I cleave this from the options, I'm going to want to sweep back through the rest of the facilities to see, do redundancies like this exist? How many other things have the ability to create charms? And specifically, divine charms. If this is the only one that specifically say can make divine, or maybe like instead druidic charms, like here we have the sanctuary can create druidic charms, and this is the only one that specifically makes druidic charms. So maybe we go through the list and find something that can specifically do arcane, druidic, and divine magic separately, so you have a reason to have all three of those facilities to cover all those spellcasting gaps. That's one path that we can go, but isn't necessarily the right one to go with. So we have to weigh out. Right now, we're just trying to build things based on what sounds smart and what's the theme of the campaign that we've been looking at. And as we continue to evolve, once we finish getting through this list, then we can go back and start scrutinizing them to see what's appropriate and what isn't, and what sort of prerequisites or investments the characters need to make to execute them. So, story time with Uncle Phil. Right on, man. You know me. I've ran a lot of campaigns over the past 87, 97, 7, 17, 38 years. In the past 38 years, I've ran a lot of campaigns. I've learned a lot of lessons. I've made a shitload of mistakes as a player and a DM. I've either witnessed or been the source of virtually every horrible nightmare DM story or horrible player story you can possibly imagine. I am yet to be surprised by anything that people run across. It's like, hey, this crazy thing happened to me. It's like, yes, that's crazy. That's 1992 crazy when we were playing Dark Sun. Yada, yada, yada. So I need a bigger beard for the type of dwarf I act like. All right. I digress. Let's get to work. That's what we're here to do, right? I love these. I love this style of campaign so much. I love it, love it, love it. Let's go to our big list of bastions. Let's scroll down here. We're going to standardize and simplify what each of these orders does so that it's concise. And like empowering is either adding things to character based on their level or creating magic items based on the rank of the like how many points are put into a facility for the empower order. That's basically the way those go. So like that's a very simple way of summarizing the empower action. So we just need to look at all the different ways that we use empower inside the facilities and then add those to the top end where it's like there's 7 types of orders. And when you issue those orders to facilities capable of carrying out those orders, here's what those orders do, A, B, and C. And so you just look at like option A and B are in this facility. Option A and C are in this facility. This facility has A, this one has B, this one has C. So you list out all these different types of things, like all the facilities and the type of orders that they can execute. And then we have the unique features. And then we start, like I don't need to list create a magic item necessarily. Like I don't need to have a magic item table on every single one of them that says you can create magic items, because magic items get created the same way in all the facilities with the same type of order. It's just a matter of what's the facility will determine what type of item it can make, whether, wondrous versus weapon versus armor, etc. And then we have to contemplate divine, druidic, and arcane magic, like bracers of defense. Is that a modified mage armor? Is that a modified bark skin? Is that a modified bless? You could potentially use that with all the 3 types of magic. So we may potentially need to go into the magic item list and start parsing out what order of magic can produce each one of those, so that we can have like divine armaments, druidic armaments, arcane armaments, arcane armor, druidic armor, etc. down the line. So like that. That might be more depth than we need to. Scrolls is obvious because scrolls are copying spells which come off of spell lists. You don't specifically necessarily need to know a specific spell to create a magic item, though there are plenty of supplements out there that lean that far into item creation, and there I got no skin on those, man. That's good. If that's the level of crafting mechanics that you want in your game, then do that. It's great. This product leans into those ideas, but doesn't necessarily go that far. It's built to be able to take those ideas and build a frame for NPCs to do it for your characters using harvesting rules. But you can use any harvesting or all of the harvesting rules that you want and then filter them through your Bastion to be creative with your characters. But I do think there's value in like the like bracers of defense, for example, defining are they divine, druidic, and or arcane? I think that's useful so that we can delineate between the types of magic. But I haven't 100% convinced myself that's the right thing to do. I can feel it, but I'm also concerned about how many caveats and exceptions do you need. I want to have like 2 tiers at most. Like, this is the type of facility that you need, and then either like your character level or this rank of Bastion or this many points spent on Empower. Like, I want to try to limit the palette of like one like general thing you need, and then like something specific inside of that at most. And even that might be too deep. So you have to be careful about stacking too many rules on something. Otherwise, it becomes unattractive to use. If it's quick, easy, and you understand how to resolve it with no trickery, then you've got potentially a really good product on hand. If it has too many caveats, too many rules that you have to pay attention to, too many aligning, collecting. Like, if you have to collect, like the problem with the martial power with the Tome of Battle in 3rd edition was basically feat trees, which was a big thing in 3rd edition, and ultimately it didn't work because I have to take all these shitty little feats to get to this one really good feat, which 5th edition resolved with, let's just make feats less common. But when you get that feat, it's all of those things combined to be really cool. So that's the idea of it, and they executed that idea at varying levels of success. But we're trying to take that idea here, where prerequisites are minimum. Hopefully, they're intuitive and self-fulfilling. Like, you want to put points into this facility because you need points in facilities to do more stuff. So the simple act of putting points into this facility allows you to do all these things. Like, that's ideally how the system is going to work. So we got to get there. A lot of ramble, a lot of preamble here going. Here we go. It was the Sanctum that we're looking at. And currently it only has the Sanctuary, and the Sanctum only have the Empower action. So, or order. So we would reduce that. I don't know how I feel about that. And there were literally no magical items that you could create with. Hold on, let's double check that, because that's where we left off. Let's go down to the bottom and see, is there any actual non-magical items that can be created with a Sanctuary? First off, is a Sanctuary in magical items? Yes, for charms. Magic items, yes. A druidic magic item. So you can issue the Empower order. So issuing an order is important for creating successes or failures inside of the system using skill system. But double checking here real quick on the Sanctum to look for just stuff that we can make. I suspect the answer is 0. We actually have to go look through here real quick. Like, if you wanted to make a mangonel, a siege weapon, you would need to have access to both mineral and plant, like wood and iron. And you would also have to have access to an armory, a smithy, or a workshop to be able to produce the mangonel. But it's only an uncommon level of rarity, which means that mangonels are typically, 400 or less gold? I think mangonels are 400 gold, so I think that's accurate. I need to double check that. That might not, but we'll edit all this stuff. So we'll edit it all. Right now we're looking to see if the word Sanctum pops up anywhere inside here. And I'm just going to do it manually because fun. Sacristy is okay. sanctuary, but sanctuary is not a sanctum. I'm not happy that those are different, but I respect it. So I want to take all of the facilities that are in the DMG and make sure they're in here so that we're respecting the source that it came from and glamming up everything that's in the DMG that's being offered. So I don't want to deprive anything specifically, and I want to make sure that one way or another you can get access to all the stuff that you can get in the DMG, just get there differently. So, but okay, great. So the Sanctum doesn't have any crafting orders, so it only has Empower. So we have the actual issuing of power orders fulfilled, and now we have a bunch of ways that the character can spend their time in the Sanctum to acquire power. So the Word of Recall and the temporary hit points. There's also the heal thing that they have going. You can pick up the heal through the general divine charm that you can acquire in the Sanctum, but we may just replace that with a heal in general. A character that spends a Bastion turn of downtime activity using this facility gains a charm to cast Word of Recall. A character that spends a Bastion turn as the destination when used. And use this way, everyone, when used this way, everyone recalled gains the benefit of a heal spell when they arrive, period. There we go. Okay, so Sanctum, good to go. Let's go down to the Scriptorum and see how that shakes out. Craft and Empower. There, and now let's check the DMG. Do we have a minimum rank of Bastion for the Scriptorum? Negative, Ghost Rider. Issues the craft order, so I want to make sure we're respecting that craft is okay. Let's look at the Sanctum. Yeah, the Sanctum was Empower, so we have Empower as an option. As an order that can be issued, and the Sanctuary also has, and the Sanctuary has Craft and Empower. Was that true? Hold on, before we move on to Scriptorum, let's look at the Scriptorum. Let's look at the Sanctuary again. Yeah, I think Sanctuary had things that we could make. I think. Sanctuary. Herbalism kit. Is that literally the only thing we can make? If that's the only thing, I'm gonna really question whether or not we actually need to have Sanctuary listed in here like at all. Sanctuary. Druidic focus. Okay. Sanctuary. Holy symbol. All right. Sanctuary. Healer's kit. Okay. Sensing a theme here with a Sanctuary. Okay. And then magic items. Sanctuary, 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 Sanctuary. Oh, wait. Sanctuary isn't listed at all for these anymore. Sacristy. Sanctum. Did we purge? No, Sanctuary never had it. Is that true? Sacristy, Sanctuary. Huh. That doesn't seem right. Divine. Sanctum. Sanctum feels like the one that should be stripped of empowering. Craft. Crafted in power. Sanctum doesn't. Okay, that makes sense. Sanctuary, yes. Sanctum, no. Ah, but that was the only order. Sanctuary crafts. Sanctum empowers. That checks out. And then, yeah, Sanctum crafts nothing. So empower only is fine. Sanctums. Sacristy, sanctuary. Relics. There's a sacristy. Relics, holy water. Okay. So the sanctum. Sanctum reads as yes, but sanctuary reads as no. But sanctuary needs these things. The sanctum doesn't. The sanctuary is kind of like the druid headquarters, while a sanctum is like a safe spot. So they're different. So I feel like the wanderer's items shouldn't be in the sanctum; they should be in the sanctuary. Relic. Relic, holy water, potion, sanctuary. Relics are no. So instead of sanctum, it's sanctuary. What's up? Relic. Great word. Yes, script forms good words. Leave me alone. Airy. Airy. Airy, 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 airy. Good. And charms. Sanctuary. 1, 2. 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. So sanctum. Power order, list charms, bastion. Gains the benefit of a divine charm. Okay, cool. So that's balanced. The reliquary can provide charms from all 3 branches of magic. Arcane Study and Observatory can do arcane charms. The Greenhouse and the Sanctuary can create druidic charms. The Meditation Chamber and Sanctum can create divine charms, and but the reliquary can do all 3. So that keeps things balanced. I like that. Okay, Scriptorum again. Okay, great. So that's resolved. I feel good about that now. Increase the rank of 1 order. Thank you, Timely Timer. Craft. The language is simple. and the scriptorum. Empower. You can issue the empower order to create an arcane, druidic, divine, or druidic magic item, scrolls. Yeah, Scriptorum literally only does scrolls, but it does all 3 types of scrolls, right? So if you like having scrolls, let's create a magical item, scrolls, any. You know what? I think I want to have it in like, because there's like protection scrolls that are technically armaments, but they're not specifically divine, druidic, or arcane in nature. They're just protection scrolls that casters can create. So by redefining scrolls as any, I think we're covering our bases there. I think so. All right, cool. So the scriptorum is done. That was easy. 1, 2. Settlements. Settlements are unique. So we're going to go with, let's look at the orders that settlements are actually supposed to achieve. Harvest and maintain. Improve order, harvest, maintain. I'm going to put... let's go with here. Harvest equals you can issue the harvest order to produce animal material or plant materials for crafting. Each material requires separate resources. Each material requires, let's see. Each bastion's point spent this way improves harvest, improves the harvest. Let's see. Each bastion point, when you spend this is the first one that I've felt a need to provide explanation before going into the details. So settlements. Settlements are plots of land or similar are that your bastion has control over. The size of the maximum population and size of the land is determined by the number of maintain points, number of Bastion points expended to increase the size, number of Bastion points expended to improve this facility. Settlements are plots of land that your bastion has control over. The maximum population and size of the land, the maximum population that can be supported on the land that it can support, that the size of the land, the size of the plot, and the maximum number of residents that the settlement, that the land can maintain, is determined by the number of Bastion points expended to improve the maintain order in this facility. And I guess that technically puts that, let's see. Let's do it like this. Maintain equals size and max population is determined by the number of Bastion points expended. There. Bastion points. Type of settlement. Size of land. Max pop. That's population. ERPS. Size of land. Type of settlement. Fuck, what's it called? This is a village. This is a town. This is a city. This is a metropolis. It's not a village. It's like a thorp or where the fuck? It's in here somewhere. Let's see if I can go find that language real quick. Settlements. Hamlet. Thank you. We already have a lot of language going on here about settlements. So maybe I just want to lift this. For now, let's just lift it and pull it into the settlements area. Let's do it. Let's do it like this. Bop. General population is determined by the rank of the settlement. Settlements gain an additional order that can be used only to maintain a lifestyle for the community. Settlements require one or more resources. Require one or more bastion points. Expended to improve, harvest, or maintain. Hamlet, village, town, city, metropolis, population. We don't have to worry about resources anymore because it's just an expansion of the bastion itself. Like Waterdeep is a bastion that has 5 ranks in settlement. With a lot of points put into maintain. I technically don't need any of this extra language. So let's grab all of that. Take it down to the chipper. Trash for now. Wait, you don't like the cut V button? Thank you. Get rid of all that junk. I don't need. Like this is this was what we were using for the mega dungeon. Like how much gold per day can be processed at any at a place given the size of the settlement. It's basically what we're looking at here. And this should technically be 10. So like 10 gold pieces, like a hamlet can't absorb more than 10 gold pieces per day. So if you need 200 experience points to gain a level and you've got 5 characters in your party, that's a total of 1,000 experience points. If you're spending downtime in a hamlet to cash out your gold, it's going to take you 100 days to do it. Meanwhile, you could be in a town, city, or a metropolis and process all that gold in one day. And now you can get back to the dungeon right away. So but you have to it takes longer to get to a dungeon the larger the size the settlement is, because a metropolis is going to have so much control over an area. It could be like 300 miles till the next dungeon. Meanwhile, a hamlet could accidentally be settled like within 10 miles of a dungeon, and you just don't know it until you end up stumbling into it. It's like, shit, we've got a dungeon on our back. We need adventurers to take care of it. So now a reason to go to all these little hamlets is to help them be able to survive the blunders of nature that they stumble into. But I don't necessarily need to have that here. Magic item was also the maximum level of maximum rarity of magic that could be located at any particular settlement at any given time, but we have that language. Again, we kept it down below for the time being. Growth rate. So let's see. Cool. Now we are into maintain equals expand. You can issue an order. You can issue the maintain order to expand the size of the settlement. Let's see. Oh, yeah, okay, that's gonna that should work. Rank DC. Let's see. To expand the Murph. Generally, the population is determined by the rank of the settlement. Settlements gain an additional order that can be used only to maintain a lifestyle for the community. To establish a settlement, the governing bastion must expend one or more bastion points to improve the harvest or maintain one or more bastion points must expend one or two improve the maintain order with this facility. Points. There we go. You can issue the maintain order to expand the size of the settlement. Roll a bastion check. Roll a bastion check and compare the result to the DC of the current rank. Hold on. Roll a bastion check and compare the result to the DC of the current rank of the settlement. If the roll succeeds, the population increases by the listed amount for the rank of settlement. If the roll fails, the population doesn't increase and a complication occurs. If the roll fails, the population doesn't. Oh, wait, and then let's see. Generally, the population is determined to establish a settlement. Governing must expend 1 point. Here. Settlements gain an additional order that can be used only to maintain a lifestyle for the community. And what was the other thing? Shit, I was just thinking of something. Fuck, what was it? Fuck, I lost it. All right, there's something there. So maintain, you can issue the maintain order to expand the size of the settlement. Roll a Bastion check. Oh, that was it. Settlements. Roll 1 additional Bastion event per. Roll 1 additional event per Bastion turn. There's a general event table of good and bad things that happen to the Bastion each week. And often the issuing commands, issuing orders to do different stuff often generate their own opportunities or complications for the team to respond to. But each round you also have just a random event occur. And then if you're on a settlement, if you're on a settlement, you know, both the Bastion event and the settlement also spawns a event as well for the team to contend with. I'm thinking, yeah, an additional event per Bastion turn. I was thinking about ramping that to be like 1 Bastion per rank that you have. Yeah. You know what? I'm thinking about shifting this. I'm thinking about organic growth of a settlement versus investing points into expanding the settlement. I like the idea. So, like, if I drop a point into a settlement, it's not going to automatically get bigger. That's what we're resolving right now. Every 2, every 2, every 5. I don't need gold. We're going to assess this out, but here's my thought. If the rule succeeds, the population increases by the listed amount for the rank of settlement. Rank, DC, population. Right? So it's 100, 1,000, 10K, 100K. Plus Okay, here's the idea. Settlements, let's see. Settlements gain an additional order. If the roll succeeds, the population increases by the listed. Okay, so increases by the listed amount by the rank of settlement. The time required to carry out this order is determined by the rank, the current rank. Duration, rate. Month, season, year. So it takes a year for a hamlet to advance to a village. It takes 10 seasons for a village to advance to a town. It takes another 10 seasons. That's 20 seasons. That's 5 years. So we're looking at 6 years so far to advance to a city, which is still pretty quick. And then 16 years for the city to evolve into a metropolis. That sounds very, very fast. It sounds more like 160 years to get. So maybe I just need to increase everything by 10. But the idea is that you have to, if the roll succeeds, population increases. In other words, when the population reaches the listed max, the settlement increases to the next rank. Okay, so I'm thinking instead of listing the settlement as a facility, we instead set up like a governance or like a governorship as the facility that oversees the settlement. So you've got the operations of the Bastion, and then one of the facilities in the Bastion is specifically charged, kind of like the war room, of overseeing operations of soldiers. The governorship or the governance would oversee the operations of the settlement, the population of the settlement, making sure that they're all being taken care of. That's kind of the idea. I think that's where we're heading with this. So when you have a settlement, you have to have a number of points of governance equal to the rank of the settlement. So we could have a long-term plan of advancing our village to become a town. It'll take a couple years for us to do it because it's slow. But once the village ascends to a town, we need to have 3 bastion points expended to increase our governance so that we have enough bureaucratic infrastructure in our bastion to be able to support all the city needs, all the civic needs of a town. That's the idea that we're playing with here. So that lets us take the whole idea of a settlement and drag it back down to where it was. here. And then we can go scoop up this stuff again. And just stack it in. And we'll sort it out later. So instead of a settlement, we now have a government. So let's go up to the G's. And government just maintains. All government does. There. Cool. Let's see. Unique features. You can issue the maintain order to govern a settlement. As detailed in the settlement section below. You can, the maximum size of the maximum size of settlements. The maximum size of settlement you can govern is determined by the number of bastion points you expend to improve the maintain order through this facility. Hamlet. Size of settlement. NA, the big old NA for not applicable. Metropolis can be anything. They can be, yeah, big. Maximum size of settlement. Yeah. Hamlet G. I spelled that wrong. There. And we're going to call it, government. Settlement size. Oops. There. So, governing a settlement is as easy as maintaining a lifestyle for your settlement. It's just a die roll. You're either going bankrupt or you're doing okay, and then degrees of okay. Then it's going to be getting down to the settlement. So the settlement grows independently of the ranks in your bastion. The ranks of your bastion can grow independently from the levels of your character. You can fuse them all together, or you can keep them separated. I always recommend keeping them separated so that they can each grow organically, and you can focus on character progression separately from bastion progression, separately from what we now have as our settlements. Now we can have a number of settlements that are established that have zones of control around them that you then use bastion orders to interact between the two, either through trade or military conflict, for instance. If both are trying to expand into grasslands so that they can harvest vegetable matter, there could be a border dispute that happens there. That could be the complication that occurs with your attempts to harvest. Now you have a border conflict with a neighboring bastion or a neighboring settlement that needs to be resolved peacefully or otherwise. That's the idea. So cool. We have the core fundamentals of a settlement is resolved. Got our list of bastions. Cool. So let's keep at it. Beep, beep. Okay. Government is good for now. Smithy is where we're at. No, we're still at the scriptorum. Nope, that's resolved. Okay, cool. Smithy, stables, storehouse, teleportation circle, theater, training area, trophy room, war room, and workshop. So I have 9 more facilities to resolve. And 6 o'clock. So how long have we been at this? An hour and a half. Okay. I think we've already resolved a lot of the back end of this document. I think the workshop is pretty close to done. We already worked on the war room recently. The trophy room we worked on. Training area we worked on. Theater we worked on. Teleportation circle we worked on, but they need to be translated. Storehouse we worked on. Stables, spy network. Yeah, we've literally worked on everything except for the smithy. So holy shit, we're actually getting kind of close to done over here. So craft and empower. We might actually finish this circuit today. So and then the smithy. Thank you. Armor. Ring. Rod. Weapon. Laundress. That's it. Anything else we need to do here? Craft order to create non-magical items, and power order to create magical items. That's all the smithy is really meant to do. That's probably sufficient. Cheers. Spy network. Improve order of maintain and research. So unique features: maintain, counter espionage. Equals. When your bastion is targeted for sabotage, you can issue the maintain order to your spy network to counteract the sabotage, potentially reducing, causing the sabotage, potentially causing it to fail. Roll a bastion check. If the result is higher than the DC for your bastion rank, use the higher number as the target DC for the saboteurs to damage your facilities. Bastion rank. Default DC. If the result is higher than the default DC, for your bastion rank, use the higher number as the target DC for your saboteurs. There. Of course, it's 30, 25, 20, 15, 10. And now we have the recruit action, which is let's go with sabotage. Listen, all y'all. Okay, you can issue the recruit order to hire spies to sabotage a rival bastion. When you do make a recruit bastion, make a bastion check, make a bastion test against the DC of the target Bastion determined by the rank of the target. There. Of course it's a D12. Of course it's a D10. Of course it's a D8. Of course it's a D6. Of course it's a D4. So if you are successful, you damage the facilities of the target bastion, reducing the number of bastion points, reducing the number of bastion points of the target by the amount listed for the rank of bastion attacked. By amount listed for the number of bastion points you've expended to improve the recruit order of this facility. So you can improve maintain for defense. You can improve recruit for attacking. Bastion points. There. Defense, offense. Very simple system. And then we'll just list it here. When a bastion loses bastion points this way, the damaged bastion can issue the maintain order to repair facilities. Each order can repair 1 bastion point per week. So if I have third rank facility with 4 orders and I've lost 8 points of if I've lost 8 bastion points, I have to strip those away. When a bastion loses bastion points this way, remove the total number of BP. The total number is temporarily reduced until they are repaired. First, remove any bastion, any BP not expended, any open bastion points. Any remaining damage, is taken from facilities in the bastion. Roll a randomly choose which point loses a point, or the DM can choose which facility is reduced until the points are repaired. The Bastion carries out orders as though those points don't benefit the Bastion. Repairing damaged bastions. This should probably be its own section. We'll probably develop it into its own section, probably down with settlements. So you can have military action against settlements by attacking the bastion of that settlement. Once you've destroyed the government of a settlement, it's effectively something that you can then take control of yourself by using your own bastion points to assert a governance over that settlement. Then counterattacks or other forces would have to destroy your government facilities in that settlement to then take control of it for themselves until the points are all repaired. So you take over you take over governance, and then you have to repair it until you've completed repairing all of the damaged bastion points in the settlement. There will be insurrection and resistance or rebellion against your occupation. Once you've completely repaired the city, it also repairs your relationship as the governor of that settlement with the population, and they accept you. So a way to prevent a population from succumbing to a new governance is through basically social protests and terrorist acts that continue to damage facilities of the government so that it can't ever fully repair can't ever fully repair the settlement. So as long as one bastion point is disabled or disrupted in the bastion, the population has never fully accepted your leadership yet. So you have to outpace the insurgents and make sure that you get to a point where you've completely repaired the place before the insurgents start tearing it down. So there's a really fun, that's a very, very simple combat system that once a settlement has been reduced to 0 hit points, it's been completely destroyed. It's been razed to the ground. All the buildings are smashed. All the population of either threat or been killed during the raids. You've destroyed that city. Or you can do a precise attack, a precision strike against the settlement's governance, specifically assassinating all the leadership and replacing them as a coup. And you could do that either through military power, or you could do that through spy network assassinations and sabotage. So you have these two dimensions that play of spy network or military force that can eliminate hostile governments or settlements. If you're having like harvest conflicts in grasslands that you want to be able to harvest for plant material for your own population, you need to eliminate rival settlements that are trying to take those resources away from you by either taking over that government and integrating that settlement into yours so that they work together for mutual benefit, or you completely destroy that settlement so that there's no population left that would then harvest your resources, and you could pillage them for potential resources yourself. So, but that, again, it's all resolved with a single die roll. I'm going to give Adam Hancock the Balduran's Guide to Kingdom Building credit for the inspiration behind that. Obviously, we're taking the mechanics in a different direction than he did. Both simpler as well as a little bit more narratively nimble to be able to address more situations with a simpler die roll. But hats off to Adam. He's my editor for the Spelljammer books, so I've got a great relationship with Adam just to begin with. He was also the lead on the Subclasses Revivified book that I worked in, and he was my editor for Nature's Ally, which is on the DMsGuild. Those were all fun projects to work with him on, and I really respect him as a designer. I will say that Balduran's level of complexity is something that if you're really like nitty gritty 3E style mechanics of point, like it's more complementary to like say the strongholders and followers, whatever those MCDM books are. It's more in vein with that level of complexity where I like to have simpler processes. Like 5e teaches us that like ability checks and skill tests should be simple with very few rules that are attached to them, but have broad narrative detail, which is what we're attempting to do with the Bastion campaign book in general. So I think like this sort of operation, like this, like resolving mechanics this way is a real easy to stay consistent with the die rolls that we make, with the scales of threats, the difficulties. I like the counter espionage option of being able to increase the DC. Like if you have a 5th rank counter espionage facility that's rolling a D20 plus 5 plus a D12, and the best I can have against a facility is a 30 as a D20 plus 5 plus D12. I could get up to a 12 plus 35 20, 25, 37. So the best I could roll is a 37. While the facility itself at 5th rank would have, or the settlement itself at 5th rank has a difficulty of 30. So I can't do better than like my bounded accuracy in the game using this system. The best I could ever roll is a 37 and still only roll a 7. So I could have colossal failures as well as really good successes, but the cap is 37. So a really good counter espionage roll against a really good sabotage roll could potentially neutralize each other even if the result is above 30. I could roll a 35 on my sabotage and counter espionage rolls a 36. We were able to neutralize the saboteurs and took no damage. And that was like a high level test because that's the top. That's the top. Those are 17th level skill checks that you're making right there. So that's the top of the game. So if that's the kind of opposition that you're running into, you're probably going to want to make an adventure out of saboteurs or an adventure for a counter-espionage team to try to track down the saboteurs and eliminate them before they have a chance to rally and attempt another effort. So, and then the higher rank you are, like I could order 3 issues. I could issue 3 orders to sabotage the same structure 3 times if I have enough spies that I could do that with. So I would have to issue 3 orders. That's going to eat up a lot of my supply. And then I would make my die rolls. And the best roll would be the one that sticks. And then the rival, if they don't know it's coming, they might not have any resources available for them to even attempt a counter espionage. But if they have good spy networks going, they'll know to look out for trouble. Sorry, I'm yawning. Apparently I'm tired. Recruit. No. I like that. And research equals. Let's cut this free. Research equals gather information. This is basically the same as the pub. Oh man, I'm so tired. You can issue the research order to this facility to observe, to gather information about to gather information about the people, places, and things in searching for sabotage or information about potential rival targets. Gaining the benefits of the contact other plane spell. The result of the roll determines the number of questions you can ask about any local item, location, or NPC. DC, below 10, complication. 10, 15, 20, 25, 30 is the way that we play, and the questions are 1 to 5. So the higher a roll I get, the more questions I get to ask. If I can have multiple spies out asking multiple questions, gathering as many answers as I can, depending on how good I am at being able to roll high. And that's basically all I need for the spy network, but I do need to include recruit and research in the list. So spy, den, maintain, recruit, research. Cool. Got it already. There. Stables. Stables. Bloop. Stables. Spy network requires second rank. Nah. I don't have to have second rank. It can just be first. That's fine. Stable. Harvest and trade. Harvest. Sorry, let's press the right buttons. Harvest. Trade. Harvest equals, you can issue the harvest order let's see, you can, nope, unique features, this does not require an order. Your facilities produce enough animal materials to craft non-magical items of rarity and magnitude equal to the number of bastion points expended to improve the harvest order through this facility. Shearing sheep, alpaca. Milking cows, goats. Let's see. Spooling spider, caterpillar, spider silk, etc. And then trade. You can issue the trade order to acquire and train animals as mounts. The number of Bastion points expended to improve the rank of trade. The type of animals that can be acquired and trained is determined by the number of Bastion points expended to improve the rank of trade in this facility. Rank. So this should be Bastion points. CR. Duration. Characters handling creatures trained in this facility gain advantage on making animal handling checks to control the creature. Characters gain advantage on animal handling checks made to control animals trained at this facility. Because it's your facility. You're the one that's dictating the training schedule. You have a hand in the training of these animals. You have advantage in working with them because you've invested time in training them in the first place. That, as opposed to just buying a horse and then pushing it around, you broke and trained this horse yourself, or were part of the team that broke it, or oversaw operations, had a chance to interact with the animals frequently. So it knows you. You have advantage on that. That just makes sense to me. Storehouse. Requires second rank, and this requires second rank because you have to have a certain amount of just mass in general for you to even need a storehouse. You could have a giant warehouse that's empty because you don't have any way to use it. It's once you start building up your resources and the complexity of your operation that you find that you need a storehouse. So trade. harvest equals when you have a complication with an order that can be resolved by the harvest by issuing harvest order, you can forego issuing the order and automatically have the materials needed to resolve the complication. Let's grab this. Another example of me needing to provide text. This might become a common term. This might become a common thing. So we'll see. I overshot my bit. There. Let's see, improve order. A storehouse holds materials for use in creating items. See, a storehouse holds materials for use in creating items. The more points, the more Bastion points, the more VP spent to improve the storehouse. The more exotic materials can be found in storage ready for use. Each material requires separate space and resources to store. A separate storehouse must be established. A separate storehouse. Each type of material requires a separate storehouse to properly store the material. Animal, plant, animal, mineral, and plant. Let's do it like that. There. Trade equals. You can issue the trade order to acquire magical or non-magical items. The rarity and corresponding, the rarity of item, acquired, and duration to find it. Oh, this feels very much like the auction house of setting up an auction to find a random item. This is exactly the same thing. So let's go up to the auction house and just grab that, and then attend an auction to acquire a magic item. So we might fold the auction, like we might get rid of the auction house and fold it into something like the gaming hall, for instance, where like somebody gambles a magic item, and it'll be a random item, and you can either take it or not. You either keep it or you exchange it for loot. Is the idea. You can issue the trade order to acquire magical and non-magical items. Yeah. There we go. Okay, we're just gonna leave that be for now. It's competing, but we'll suss that out, like I said, when we get there. Is that a word right? Unique features. Good. Stables, storehouse, recruit and trade. Yeah, unique feature. Increase events equals increase number of Bastion events by roll an additional Bastion each Bastion turn. So if you have a teleportation circle in your Bastion on a settlement, you now have 3 Bastion events that happen each week for your team to use as opportunities and adventure hooks, in addition to all the complications. The Bastion, this facility can cast the teleport spell once per day. When you issue the recruit order to hire NPC, to hire sidekicks, to acquire monsters, sidekicks, or specialists, roll with advantage. Trade equals. When you issue the trade order to acquire materials or specific, to acquire materials, roll with advantage. When you issue the trade order through another facility to acquire materials, roll with advantage. Nice. When you issue the recruit order through another facility, like the guild hall, the war room, the theater, the barracks, in the recruiting effort to all those different facilities to fetch people, the teleportation circle makes it easy for you to go out and find those people or to fetch them to you. That's the intent that goes on behind that. Speaking of which, excuse me for a second. Cool. 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 All right. Let's see. So we're now into the theater, and then the training area, trophy room, war room, and workshop, and we're done. So those last 5. Again, we worked a lot of these already, so this is already like mostly of where we want it to be at. The theater is first rank, teleportation is 3rd, so no problems there. Theater is empower and recruit. Unique features. Empower equals participate in performance to gain inspiration for upcoming adventure or Bastion orders. That praises the gods. You can create a performance. Each participant chooses a role. propose a performance, direct the performance, perform the performance. Characters that participate gain a number of inspiration points equal to the difficulty rolled during the adventure. Characters that participate for the listed duration gain a number of inspiration points equal to the difficulty rolled during the adventure. During the performance. Each point of inspiration requires investing one resource that is recovered. Let's see. Nope. New performances replace any unspent inspiration points. Yeah, that feels good. Under 10, 0. Week. Create a complication. New performances replace any unspent inspiration points. Period. Recruit. You can issue the recruit order to attract an expert to accompany your characters on adventures or to aid in the operation of your facilities. The DC to recruit is based on the level of the sidekick, which cannot exceed the level of your character. Dun, 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 dun. There you go. That's just following normal recruitment rules. So we can basically summarize recruiting rules up in recruiting and say you can recruit a sidekick, expert. Training area. Already formatted. Training area, do we have a minimum? 2. Requires second rank. Empower, recruit. Pretty good. Empower equals characters that spend a Bastion turn in downtime training can gain 1 boon. One boon can be active. 1 boon can be active per character at a time from the list below. As determined by the rank of the Bastion. And then recruit, which is, and then we have weapon, armor, learn a language. 3rd rank is skills, tool proficiency, or learn weapon mastery. 4th is gain 1 feat you qualify for, gain expertise in 1 skill you're proficient with. And then gain 1 saving throw. Nice. Recruit. You can issue the recruit order to attract any type of sidekick to accompany your characters on adventures. The DC to recruit is based on the level of the sidekick, which cannot exceed your character level. Same language as above. Trophy room. Research and recruit. Recruit equals you can you gain when you issue an order to recruit soldiers or warrior to recruit monsters, soldiers, and warrior sidekicks of rank equal to this facility or less than the number of Bastion points expended to improve recruit order through this facility, gain advantage on the Bastion test, on the Bastion check, period. Rank to reroll, maintain lifestyle. Yeah. Check. And then research, huh? Research. Research equals when you issue an order to research a type of creature or habitat environment, you can roll with advantage. Unique benefits. Unique feature. War room, maintain and recruit. Maintain equals you can issue the maintain order to defend your bastion from being attacked. Make a D20 test. If the result is higher than the DC of your bastion's rank, use the higher number. Recruit equals you can issue the recruit order to send the troops maintained in your barracks to attack a rival bastion or settlement, damaging a number of bastion points equal to the roll of a bastion die. The size of die rolled is determined by the number of bastion points expended to improve the recruit order through this facilities or the barrack facility, whichever is less. To determine a rival bastion or settlement, to damage a rival bastion or settlement, the D20 test DC is determined by the target's rank. If the D20 test fails, a complication occurs. To a rival or a rival bastion or settlement period. Make a bastion check. The DC is determined by the target's rank. If the check succeeds, you damage the target by a number of bastion points equal to the roll of a bastion die. There you go. Damage per order. A Bastion can issue an order to attack a rival through the war room without the army being present at the Bastion if there is a way to maintain communication between the war room and the army. And the final shop that we have to work on, the final facility is Workshop. So it's fucking sweet. We put in the work earlier and it came around and rewarded us here at the back end. So Workshop has Craft and Empower. Create craft equals you can issue the craft order to create non-magical items as see the list below. Empower equals you can issue the Empower order to create non-magical items, implement Smash Wanderers items, and then let's go with Craft. Equals unique perk. Create golems to serve and defend the Bastion. Assembled Guardians equals you issue the craft order to create golems that serve and defend the Bastion. The rank of the CR of Golem created this way is determined by the max rank of craft is determined by the number of points spent to increase to improve the craft and empower order, whichever is less. Through this facility. Double requirement. The first one with a double requirement. That's interesting. Nice. All right, well, while a golem remains under command in the Bastion, within the Bastion, while a golem remains within the Bastion, it remains, it can be commanded without difficulty. If it leaves, it can break free and act independently until it can be returned. And I think the guild hall is already making things go faster. I know the demi-plane does. Let's double check the guild. No, the guild allows you to increase the quality of a order without having to increase the size of the facility to do so. And we already have a time dilation effect in the demi-plane, which seems very appropriate. So we're gonna scrap that. And all right, it's 8:49. We've officially completed our list of facilities for the Bastions. We're going to be back on Thursday night to continue this project. When we do, we're going to start looking at redundancies and consistencies and redundancies among the facilities to see if there's any bloat that we can thin down so that each is more unique, or if there is a consistent pattern that we can just integrate into the general rules of orders, like this recruiting assembly sort of thing. That's going to use the standard, like the standard recruit array for recruiting monsters and stuff. So like we already have a cadence for these sort of things, so we can potentially establish that. Yeah, and then once we get done with that, we can add flavor text to each of the facilities just to give them a little narrative flair. We'll resolve the extent of what each order can do. We'll resolve settlements. We'll address combat sabotage. We'll address damaging and repairing facilities. And then we have the magic item list, and then we'll clean up or further develop Bastion events and complications. And then we'll probably provide some examples and maybe like campaign structure, and potentially be done moving into production from there. If this happens to get through production and editing before the Eberron adventure is completed, which is highly unlikely, but in the case that were to occur, then our Monday and Thursday nights would then convert to page layouts and artwork for the Bastion campaign supplement. So I'm anticipating the Eberron adventure completing in June-ish. And I don't think that this would be... It's February, so I suspect we'll be working it, because the only time I work on this is on Mondays and Thursday nights, like for 2 or 3 hours a night. So I put like 5 hours a week into this. And I suspect there's probably another 30 some odd hours worth of work, which means that we aren't going to even be theoretically done with a first draft of this until probably April. So then we can hand it off to an editor. The editor is going to chew on it for probably a month, and then we'll get it back in May. We're still working on the progress for the Eberron adventure. We would then probably on Mondays and Thursday nights start the book cover for this. And by the time we finish the book cover on Mondays and Thursday nights, I suspect the Eberron adventure would then be done in June. Give me a month. 5-hour bursts a week. That's 4 weeks. That's 20 hours. So by the time the Eberron adventure is completed, we'll have the book cover done for the Bastion campaign. We'll be working on the page layouts, and once the layouts are done, we can just shift into Monday through Friday morning. Instead of being Eberron art, it'll now be the Bastion campaign book that we're building art for. And then our Mondays and Thursday nights will be freed up, so we can work on either Martial Powers, Spellpoint Warlocks, Spellpoint Sorcerers, Spellpoint Artificers, Knights and Tricksters, the Color Mana system, the whole entire bundle, rebuilding that. And we'll probably still be playtesting the Martial Power system. By that point, we'll probably be like around level 8 or so, maybe 9, getting close to the end. So we'll be diving deep into rebuilding the Color Mana books, and then once the playtesting for the Martial Powers book gets done, we'll resolve all the text in that. I suspect we'll be in edits for that in September, which means we'll probably have all the actual Martial Powers books done. Well, geez, if we're working on the Bastion campaigns in the mornings from, say, July through October, July, August, September, October, 4 months. Yeah. October we'll probably be ready to spit out the Bastions book, which means that at that point we'll probably be dropping all the color mana books back into art production to reshape the pages where all the core mechanic books are at. And that'll probably go on until New Year's, at which point we would be doing, probably have the manuscript for the Martial Powers book done, off to an editor. If we get the Martial Powers book back from the editor in February next year, around that time I suspect the color mana system will be resolved with new shiny 2024 rules. And then we'll be able to do page and cover production for the Martial Powers book on weekday mornings once the color mana system is cleared out of the way, which means like maybe April 2025, we'll have all of the color mana books, like all the color mana books, including Sorcerer, Spellpoint, the Spellpoint Sorcerer, Spellpoint Warlock 24, Spellpoint Artificers released with whatever it is that they're putting out in October. Yeah, so by February next year, I would suspect we'll have all the mana mechanics resolved and updated for 2024, which means I'll be able to set those down. I don't know where Spelljammer, Warforged, Machines fits inside all of this. Maybe we'll shunt color mana stuff aside in September to be able to work on those pieces again. But once the color mana system is done and the Bastion system is done, the only thing that we would have left is Spelljammer content to continue producing, which we've got a lot to produce, both maps and adventure options. So that'll probably take us into probably September 2025. No, sorry, this is September 2026. And then once we get those Spelljammer books resolved, then we'll have had plenty of time of dealing with Guild Delvers and the Delve engine to get that going as an RPG game that we could then potentially roll out as a Kickstarter late 2026, early 2027. That feels right. Boy, that really feels right. I have a holiday next Monday. So I'll be off work, so that means I get to play long time on Monday morning with artwork. I'll be able to have a lunch stream working on Martial Powers, and then we'll have our Bastion Monday night. Yeah, so I'm going to be back tomorrow morning. We'll continue working on Eberron stuff. I'll be at lunch tomorrow working on Martial Powers stuff, probably the backgrounds. Yeah, we'll work on backgrounds. And Wednesday morning, Wednesday lunch, same. Thursday morning, artwork. Thursday night, more Bastion stuff. Friday morning, Friday lunch, more art and Martial Powers. And then Saturday early, we'll work on Martial Powers some more. And then we'll have our Martial Powers playtest. Saturday brunch. And then I'll be off for the rest of the day and then back on Monday with the holiday. That's my schedule. So if you thought this stuff was cool, you want to see more of it, or you've seen any of my other thousands of streams that I've ran over the past few years, like, subscribe, bell icon, check out all my books down below. They all have free previews. Join my Discord if you've got questions you want to ask. I'll happily answer them. If you want to play test any of this stuff, that also happens through my Discord. I will see you guys on the other side. All right, later.